Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today on our podcast called Everyday Office, where it's the intersection of business and technology. If you've been listening, we have been talking about tool overload in the Microsoft ecosystem. If you have not been listening, you might want to go back and listen to our two previous episodes about file management and information management. Today, we're going to talk about modern communication. What does that mean in 2025? After the pandemic, what are we using on an everyday basis inside this Microsoft ecosystem? My name is Denise Morris, and I'm here with my wonderful co-host and president of Knack Training,
Neil Malik. How are you doing today, Denise?
I'm doing great. It's Friday here. So
It
whatever day
is.
you're listening to it on, but it's Friday here.
Yeah.
So
It's probably being released on a Monday, so sorry and good luck to all of you embarking on your new work week. We, on the other hand, are just looking forward to a weekend of doing nothing. I'm going to go see the Minecraft movie with my kids. It's very exciting.
sounds
I
lovely.
the joke always gets me. The At the beginning of the preview for Minecraft movie, it's Jack Black, and he's like, "Ever since I was a child, I yearned for the mines." I'm like, I'm in. Let's see how Jack Black, as an 8-year-old child, yearned to do his mining. Yeah. So, yes, as Denise was just saying, everybody, we are talking about communication today. We talked about file management on our first podcast in the series, information management in our second. And after this one, we will be talking about task management, and that will sort of complete the 4 episode arc for us. So, definitely check out all the things we're talking about. So before we dive into modern communication, let's go into some news and announcements. So Denise, you want to take first announcement today or news?
Yeah, absolutely. It is about Teams, where we spend most of our day communicating, but it's more specifically about the new calendar in Teams. If you have not stumbled upon it yet, you click on the calendar icon inside of Teams, and there's a little toggle on the right side where you can turn on calendar if your IT allows you to do that. Maybe
Yeah.
they don't. But it has some enhanced views. You can look at the multi-day layouts. You can really just see things. It's more clean and crisp, I feel like, and easier to follow, and it's just nicer looking to me. So
Yeah, and really what it is it's a direct insertion of what everybody's going to be using with new Outlook too. So if you're in new Outlook, if you're in Outlook Online, or if you're in new Teams calendar, you're going to experience the same thing in all 3 places. Now, I will leave it up to the people at home whether they think that's a good thing or the worst thing that they've ever heard in their lives. But I mean, the thing that we've always heard is, from people is like, okay, I use Teams all the time, but you go into the Teams calendar and you can't see anybody else's calendar. You can't see different views of the calendar, all sorts of complaints, totally valid complaints. And this is going in the direction of being able to experience your calendar in Teams the same way you do inside of Outlook. So, probably good in the big picture for that to happen. I don't know. It's one of those things. I never actually read the book, Who Moved My Cheese? Is it Who Moved My Cheese or something like that? Anyway, it's a book about disappointment or something like that,
oh,
how change is always something people fight back against. And, this is probably a good change, but change nonetheless. And people
I
are never
probably moved
excited.
my cheese, and I don't remember that I moved it. That would be the story of my life.
That's why you got to have a cheese drawer. You
Oh,
always
we do.
know that the
Yes.
drawer is full of cheese. The other day, we had a terrible misfortune. Somebody noticed that our cheese sticks had expired. And
Oh,
yeah, that's what happens when you go to Sam's Club or Costco and get 97,000 cheese sticks at once. No human being can eat that much cheese sticks in one sitting. So they expire finally. Anyway, um, so yes, take a look, top right hand corner, see if that little slider works or not. Okay, mine is, I don't know, Denise, have you seen anything about the new trimmed reference concept
I
in
have not. Mm-mm.
So there's two tools. One of them is a new function in Excel called trim range, so TRIMRANGE, and the other is a way of referring to things. And something we always, I don't know, fight back against is probably a strong word. But when we're teaching Excel classes, a lot of people have gotten themselves in this rhythm where what they do is they just highlight the entire column when they're doing some sort of function or something, right? They're like, hey, do a VLOOKUP, and I don't want to highlight the cells in the E column I want to do the VLOOKUP against. I just want to grab the whole E column. And the problem we always tell people is like, listen, if you're going to do stuff like that, then you're going to have way too many functions. You're going to have way too many calculations. If you do that with your formatting, you're going to have way too much formatting. And just generally speaking, it's a little sloppy. So Microsoft literally just came out with a new function where if you tell it, here's a whole bunch of cells, but you put it inside of the trim range function, it cuts it down to exactly the range that's actually filled in. So it sort of resolves that problem without you having to learn a new way of working. Just really cool. So take a look at the trim range function. And the other way it works is, you know how reference in Excel is like B3 colon B900 or whatever? If you put a period before the colon, so on the B3 side of it, it will chop off any leading empty spaces. And if you put a dot after the colon, so on the B900 side of things, it'll chop off the spaces at the bottom. So if you do, for example, B3 colon dot B900, and it only goes down to B52 or something like that, then it'll chop off at that point. It's just a lot more efficient way of working. So, it's an interesting new tool. I just saw Mark Proctor had a video about this, and he said, wouldn't you just use tables? Yes. I mean, we love tables here on the Everyday Office podcast. We tell everybody to use tables all the time, forever. But in those scenarios where you're not using tables, it's a really nice way to dynamically select the data that's there and not a whole bunch of empty stuff. So something to take a look at.
Okay, so we talked about news and announcements. As always, we love to give you a little freebie of a tech tip. So mine is about find and replace. I have been copying things from ChatGPT or Claude or Copilot, and sometimes I forget to accept the, formatting or just the text only, and you get all those little asterisks. Oh, they're the bane of my existence at the moment. I know it seems minimal, but it is. And so I am finding and replacing frequently. I am finding all the asterisks and replacing them with just blank. So there, you could go up and click on find and replace, but you can also use the shortcut Control H, and it pops up right there in front of you. And it's the basic find and replace. It's not the advanced, but it'll get the job done. So if you're finding and replacing things, Control H is your new friend. It's your new shortcut.
I this just tickled a part of my brain. Um, I told this joke years ago, and I thought it was going to land flat, and then people in the room actually laughed out loud, and I was like, "Am I a comedic genius?" So I went, "Okay, so everybody, if you look at your keyboard, there's Control F for find something. There's Control G for go to, right? That makes sense, and then there's Control H for replace, and everybody just I was like, I am the funniest man in America. Anyway, sorry.
You are funny.
I
Not
just
just because you write my checks, but you are funny as well.
paychecks may have just gone through, up elevating Denise's mood and awesome. All right, so my tech tip, a little bit, it's a little bit squishy of a tech tip, but it's something I've been using a lot lately, is all of the different dynamic array functions. So if you want to start with one simple one, the unique function, for example. So there's this new set of functions, and what they do is they dynamically address arrays of cells and potentially also spill the results of that function into multiple cells. And so if you go look at the unique function, you say equal sign unique and you highlight a whole bunch of cells, it will generate a unique list of the values in those cells. And that's probably the easiest possible example, but there are a ton of really interesting new functions. XLOOKUP, for example, if you are a VLOOKUP aficionado, everybody, and you have Microsoft 365, throw it away and just learn to love XLOOKUP. XLOOKUP is like it's like 90 times better than VLOOKUP. So anyway, big picture here, everybody. If you have not already looked into the family of new dynamic array functions that Excel has available to you, definitely check those out and start to experiment with how they can improve your spreadsheets.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough now. Like when you teach lookup functions, you kind of have to teach VLOOKUP because it's the granddaddy function or something. But then you teach XLOOKUP and everybody's like, "Wait, is this better in every possible way than VLOOKUP?" And it's like, "Yes, in every single possible way, XLOOKUP is better than VLOOKUP." So, yeah, shouldn't be using VLOOKUP anymore. Let's move into the future, everybody. It's an exciting new day.
In Excel. It's exciting new day in Excel.
Hey, every day in Excel is an exciting day. And can you imagine that you would have thought those things?
No, no, not even.
Not even close. I remember getting out of college and thinking to myself, what will I do with my life? And I'll tell you what, Microsoft Excel was not anywhere near the list of things that I thought were going to happen in my life.
No.
And yet here we are.
So we're going to go ahead and start talking about the main body of this podcast today, which is modern communication. And I mentioned Teams earlier, and that's where we at Knack Training spend a lot of our day in Teams discussing, talking with each other, sending gifts back and forth. Very productive environment. But that is where most of us start our day now, is in Teams. Before, it was Outlook. You got on, you checked your email, you saw what was happening, maybe you looked at your to-do if that was something that you had connected. But now I go into my Teams, I look at my calendar, I see what's going on for the day, and that is where we start. And so we really have to view Teams as this communication hub of all of these other applications, either have native apps there or are easy to get to them from Teams. And so we talk about all the time, but Teams is more than just chat. It's multiple ways to communicate with your team. And so I think the first one we could talk about is, should it be an email or should it be a chat? How do we decipher between the two? What do you think, Neil?
So the thing that I have been doing in classes is talking about the fact that an email is a fully packaged item that lives in your inbox, that you drag and drop between places, that has attachments connected to it, etc. And so very often you think to yourself, okay, I have this client and I need to communicate two things to the client and send them a PDF that is connected to something we're doing for that client. So in that way, it makes sense to me to create a little bundle, right? To create a package of some kind that's getting ready to go to that client. But for almost all of the incidental communication that happens on an everyday basis, it doesn't make any sense at all to have that packaging around, hey, can you connect with me at 3 o'clock, right? Things like that are not individual elements that stand on their own. Because in 10 seconds, I'm going to have to reply to you, yes, I can meet with you at 10 o'clock. And then you're going to reply to me, okay, can you make sure to bring this file with you? And I'm going to say, I don't have the latest version of that file. I need to go talk to Denise to get that copy of that file. And that, like I said, that's 95 different replies back and forth that don't really make sense, as each of them has a value as a separate element. And, Outlook has gotten around that a little bit by having conversation mode where you see all of your emails that are back and forth with that person in one conversation stack. But at the end of the day, think about that. Oh, I have to go back to the 42 emails that went back and forth about this thing. That's silly, right? And so anything that is conversational, anything that the replies kind of build on the initial ping, I think that 100% qualifies as chat, right? So that's where I draw the line, right? If I am thinking to myself that the back and forth of it all is a huge part of the value of that communication, then it only makes sense for that to be a chat, because that's what that is, right? It's right there in the name. You have a chat where you have a conversation with somebody, or you have an email where you think, oh yes, it's 1914 and I have to deliver this important piece of mail to this person on the other side of the country, and all that nonsense. I don't know. That's where my lines are. How about you?
That was a specific year, 1914. So I see it as email is really great when you need to speak with clients or people outside of your organization. I think using chat is great for those, informal, just or urgent. You need this done now. Like a chat is the best way to get around that. Obviously, at Knack, we are a smaller team, but my husband works for a team that has a company that has thousands of people, and they use chat on the regular. Um, so I think if you're working outside your organization, talking to clients or contractors, emails are great for that. But if you have the ability to, make a channel with them where you chat where it's, allowing them to be a part of it, I think that's best too, because it's much faster than email now. It
Mhm.
used to be email was quick and that was a way to talk to people. And
Yeah. Well, and too, it's like, do you email a lot with your close friends and family, or are you really on text threads with those people, right? Because, of course, right, you want to stay connected with those people. You want to feel like there is open communication as opposed to a an important delivery of some kind. Something else to think about here is I think all of us feel a little too protective of the stuff that comes in via email and via chat and things like that. Companies that that are involved in a lot of lawsuits oftentimes have very, very short retention policies on email, because even email was intended as a sort of a lightweight communication device that was always going to be temporary. And so the fact that we all have 30,000 emails saved in our inboxes right now is kind of antithetical to what people were going for in the first place. But so, yes, I think living in chat just makes sense. It allows you to feel a lot more familiar, engaged, and immediately responsive to the people that you're talking with. Now, important consideration here. Recently, and actually, I think this was one of our news and announcements on a previous episode about how the teams, chat and channels, have kind of been collapsed together. So, Denise, you want to unwrap that again here for everybody, real quick?
okay, so if you opened your Teams one day and you no longer could see a Teams on your sidebar, it's because they combined your chat and Teams together, and it has at the top, it'll have like chat and channel and Teams. It also gave you the ability to add sections where you could section these things off. If you do not like that, not that I'm saying I don't like it, I don't like it. You can hopefully still go into your settings and actually separate them. They are combined, they are together, and you can make them apart if you want to do that. But a lot of people really enjoy it and it's all in one place. And that's something that is, one less click for them. Go for it.
Yeah.
But it is separated or combined, whichever one you
Yeah.
want at the moment.
So the chats are always more individual based. So if you go in and you say, I want to have a chat with Neil, Denise, and Drew, those are three individuals who each have their own OneDrives. And if they're sharing files back and forth, it uses your OneDrive, etc. But if Neil, Denise, and Drew all belong to a team, let's say the production team, which is a team we all belong to, then we can also have chat conversations in some of the channels of that team. But when it's connected to a team, when it's in that channel of the team, then it uses SharePoint in the back end to save the files that we might be communicating about. And long term, it also makes the conversation more accessible to other people who might join the team. So if we hire a new software instructor who joins the production team, they can get into that team and immediately see everything that we've been talking about back and forth and can catch up on where we stand with important work. So for that reason, I'm a big proponent of chatting inside the channels when it is key to a specific team that you're working on, and chatting with individuals when it's more of an interpersonal concept, right? Right now, I think I saw Denise flinch a little bit where when she thought to herself, "We're going to hire a new person, and then they're immediately going to see the history of all the things Denise and Drew and I have talked about." I don't know about that. So having more of an interpersonal chat feels like a better approach in those types of situations.
I think you can choose that though, right? When you add a
Yes.
person, you can choose
Hmm.
if they can see what was came before them,
Well, but
right?
that's the thing. You can choose that in the chat. You
Right.
actually can't choose that when somebody is added to the team. When somebody's added to the team, they just belong to that team now. And belonging to the team, it's something I'm trying to make sure that I convey really well to people is, people are like, oh, so and so joined the team, but I don't want them doing anything. And I'm like, it's really, again, it's antithetical to the concept of the team. The concept of the team is, hey, you belong to the team, so you can make stuff, edit stuff, delete stuff. You can see things that are happening. So it's a pretty open sharing experience. And so the same thing would happen with your conversations there. But yeah, we wouldn't. I mean, we wouldn't add somebody new to our conversation at this point. The GIF usage would just weird them out, I think.
Maybe that should be like part of the interview process. Like pull up it and be like, does this fit your level of weirdness? If it doesn't, Knack Training is not for you.
Hey, Zoom just said you raised your hand. Good job.
Hey,
No, it doesn't think I raised my hand.
no. It's like when you do your thumbs up and sometimes it like picks up on it. Oh, it
Hmm.
did something just then. Oh, I don't know. Technology, guys, don't worry. It's not going to take over your job anytime soon. If you are in teams so frequently, like we've been talking about, it also, just to go back to that chat settings, go in there, look around. Do you want it to, show up in your chat? Do you also want it to show up in your activity? Like, I don't need to be pinged twice. So that's just my own personal preference. So if you have not looked in there, go to your settings and just do, on a Friday afternoon where you're like, I'm tapped out. I'm no longer going to get anything productive out of me. That's when I go into those places like options in the office products or, I mean, not me. I work hard all day long, but,
I
customize it
totally
to your.
believe you. Yeah. But yeah, the like I said, I think a couple of episodes ago I mentioned the fact that I recently on my phone told it that I don't want to be notified when somebody gives me a thumbs up because that was just driving me totally insane. Every time somebody would be like, "I agree." It's like I don't care that much. I mean, I really care. I want to know every single thing Denise thinks at all times, but also not.
No, you don't. You definitely don't.
All right. Other piece of the communication puzzle, meetings. Okay. Let's talk about meetings. It's a huge area of customization. I think most people are accustomed to I put a meeting on the calendar that's all there is to it, right? But especially when it's a Teams meeting, there are layers and layers and layers of customizations that you can make. So here are some things to consider. Item number one, when you go to schedule a new meeting in Microsoft Teams, at the bottom of that new meeting panel, there will be an option for agenda. You want to click that. I don't know. For last few episodes, I think we have been absolutely telling you to use Microsoft Loop every chance we get. Please, please, please click on the agenda. Denise, would you like to explain to everybody one more time what clicking on the magical agenda on the Teams meeting does for them?
Absolutely. So at the bottom, you click on agenda and it comes up with a template. It's about tasks, what the agenda items are. And you can add a component to it. It is named the name of the meeting. So make sure you put your meeting name on there. But that is allowing people to see an agenda, which I think agendas are so important. And it is now attached to that meeting invite. You can copy that component and you can throw it in an email. Hey, here's the agenda for next, week's meeting. Please fill it out. Throw it in a Teams channel. Hey, here's the agenda for next week's meeting. But the best part is when that meeting starts, there's a notes button inside and you click on it and the agenda automatically appears right there. And it's being saved in your Loop application under meeting notes or on the workspace under meeting notes. So it is easy to find. You can search by week, you can search by date to find the meeting notes. I think, we work with a lot of administrative professionals, which shout out admin month if this is coming out in April, that it is, that's a click. That's one click and it's all in one place and it's being saved for you. So I think it is the best Loop component at the moment, honestly. So.
Yeah, it's the easiest entry point. Oh, you're telling me that there's a templated thing that I can share with everybody who's going to a meeting that tells everybody what needs to happen during the meeting? No, that sounds like a terrible idea. All right. Item number 2, I'm going to go ahead and say, let's talk about the whole recordings and Copilot thing. So first of all, if you don't have Copilot at your office, I'm so sorry. You're living in the Stone Ages. I can't imagine the awful experience. No, it's fine. Copilot's pretty good. There are definitely plenty of things that I would improve about it. But one of the things that Copilot does spectacularly well is pay attention to your meetings for you. And especially if you record and you have a transcription of your meeting, it's fantastic at summarizing, generating action items, and all the rest of it. So one of the great things you can do prior to the meeting starting is you can go into the meeting options and you can tell it that you do, in fact, want to record the meeting. That way it's auto-recorded, automatically has a transcript. The Copilot setting is something that your IT staff sets up. I personally set it up inside the organization for us, where Copilot can actually pay attention live during the meeting, even when there isn't a recording in place. But it doesn't replace the recording, so afterward it wouldn't be any help. But at least during the meeting, it can say, oh, hey, yeah, Denise has been talking about this for the last 25 minutes. This is what you've been missing if you had to, zone out and, check your email or whatever. No, I wouldn't do that. But those are some settings around recordings and using Copilot that I think are really helpful.
Yes, and you can take the transcripts from that and even download it as a Word doc. I did this the other day and I summarized it into meeting notes, and it was like a layout of meeting notes for people that need that, documentation. But also if you have to drop from a meeting, because that happens frequently, and then you can go back and look like, was anything assigned to me? Or how was I mentioned? Like those types of things, which can be very helpful in this day and age because we're in meetings very frequently.
What? Yeah.
Also, when you are working with that, you can turn captions on. You yourself can turn them on as well when you're inside of a Teams meeting and no one knows, like you've turned them on. But the captions piece also goes with that accessibility piece, and it tags in with the language aspect of it, where you can even turn on translations in the language of the speaker, or if you need them in your own language. I think you can even turn on American Sign Language. I feel like that is an
Hmm.
option in there. So I've seen that, or
Oh,
I'm
I had
totally making it up, but I think
no,
it
I
is.
mean, it makes sense. Yeah, that
Yeah.
that's the next obvious place for them to do that addition. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, they've already got avatars, so I got to imagine that the ability to convert avatars into American Sign Language could be a thing. I
Yeah.
don't know. I'll have to check it out. Give me something else to study after class. That's great. After class. Hey, everybody, you're in class now. Excellent. Quick note about the recordings I want to add on here. So like right now, for example, we're recording this podcast over Zoom. We do a lot of our client meetings over Zoom because it makes people more comfortable. And we also teach some of our classes over Zoom because especially if you're trying to show somebody how to do something in Teams, it helps to have your your webcast be in a different platform than Teams. And just a quick note about that. Any recording that you do in Zoom or any other platform, all you have to do is drag and drop that into SharePoint. And when you click on it, it's opened by Microsoft Stream, and you can tell it to generate a transcript from that video. And then again, if you've got Copilot, you're there. You're good to go. Once it generates the transcript for you, then you can find out anything you want about that meeting. If it was a class, like in our instance, we can generate class, summaries and notes. And one of the things I like to do is if I get asked questions during a class, a lot of times if I'm in a 3 hour class, I'll forget some of the questions that might have come up, especially by the next day. And it's really nice to ask Copilot what questions came up during this training session. So definitely some things to play around with there.
And then there are other things that you can use inside of your meeting. I really like to use whiteboards.
Mm.
So when I am teaching a class, I think intro engagements are really important to just gauge your audience. And I really like to just know what our clients like, what they want to learn that day, because I can probably deliver it somehow in that training for them. And whiteboard can be created ahead of time. So I like to create them ahead of time, and when you start it in a Teams meeting, other people can collaborate with it, or you can turn that piece off. But it also interacts with Loop. So I could put a Loop component, like a voting table in there. We could vote. But Copilot, you can also use Copilot, like come up with 6 different questions about Excel functions or whatever, and you could use that in there. But for brainstorming, like there's templates for mind mapping and all of those things. It resembles other types of whiteboards out there like Miro or Mural and mind map, but it's in your subscription to Microsoft 365. So that's always nice. And it's interactive, because I feel like so often we're sitting on these meetings and zoning out sometimes, right? Or checking our email or doing other things. But when you're having to be engaged in the conversation, it's like, oh, wait, hold on. Like, well, some people are like, I don't want to do this at all. And then the others, the me's of the world, they're like, let's do this. What are we doing? Is it a game? Can I be competitive? What's happening? Can I be captain? No? Okay. So useful. And it's easy to get to from your team's meeting.
Yep. Oh, you know what? Let's take a little side tangent here, real quick, everybody. I want to make sure that everybody has heard this at least 97 different times from me. If you schedule a meeting, it is scheduled for you, right? So you scheduled it. You are the person who organized that meeting, and it's a Teams meeting, and it's just connected to your account. The recording will go into your OneDrive. The whiteboard will go into your OneDrive. So if you need to share it with anybody after the fact, if everybody's like, where was that recording after all, right? It's very, very simple. Who was the organizer of that meeting? It's in their OneDrive. So you can sort of track that down a lot more easily there.
And then another one that we use frequently is the PowerPoint Live portion of it. I hate to say it, but there have been times where I've been training and I, shared a screen and not a window. And then I was like, where is it? And, I'm crying on the inside. So using PowerPoint Live, which is accessible through your meeting, will pull up a PowerPoint inside of the Teams meeting. And I just like to have opened it before the meeting so that it's like fresh on my list. But you can also pull up an Excel spreadsheet and you can work and look at it inside of the Teams meeting. And it has, some fun things that you can use. You can annotate, you can use a laser pointer on it. But it almost looks like PowerPoint presenter view inside of your Teams meeting. So it's in a little, smaller window and you're able to go through your slides with everyone inside of the meeting without sharing that screen and opening your PowerPoint and doing all of those things.
Yeah. If you've never used it before, I'd recommend that you test drive it with a coworker so that number one, you can see that, yes, you can actually see, to Denise's point, everybody, you can see your slide and your speaker notes next to it. So you literally have your script right there if you've been using your speaker notes, but your coworkers or anybody else who's in the meeting does not see the speaker notes. They just see the slide. Good stuff to have. Item number two is you keep everybody's cameras and the ability to do the chat on the screen at the same time. If you share your screen in Teams, all of a sudden it goes over into a little box over on the side and it's kind of annoying. And one more thing about that. If you do share using PowerPoint Live, I really, really don't like the ability to have a private view. There is an eyeball icon, I think, up towards the top. And what that allows for is it allows your meeting participants to move forward and back in the slide deck on their own. And I really don't like that. I don't like them sort of being able to go, well, I'm bored with your slide, so I'm just going to keep moving forward, and maybe I can check out of this discussion 27 minutes earlier than I was going to. So I disallow that just so that people don't accidentally discover that they can just completely circumvent the entire thing. And if you're thinking right now, but I want to circumvent the entire thing. I get it. I totally get it. I would recommend, as the presenter, though, just, be more interesting. I don't know what else to say. Don't make a terrible, boring presentation. This actually gets to what we were talking about yesterday, about how don't make slide decks with Copilot. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Everybody hates that. Everybody. You're like, oh, but I don't have to make the slides for myself. Oh, good. So you don't even know what the slides say. Awesome.
Right.
That's a great presentation. I don't know what the slides say. I didn't put any time or effort or energy into it at all. I'm just clicking through slides.
Would you let Terminator make a presentation for you? No. My team members are like, why are you so obsessed with Skynet? I'm just saying.
Well,
the route we're on, guys.
See, I didn't watch Terminator when I was a kid. Obviously, Denise, you must have watched it when you were a little too young, because Terminator and Skynet has just been seared into your brain.
My frontal lobe was still forming and I was watching Terminator. Yeah.
All right. So, Denise, what are we telling the nice people at home to do? What's their goal here?
I think our goal is to think about the way you communicate with your teams, with your coworkers, with your people in and outside of your organization. Should it be an email or should it just be a chat message? If it's, the opportunity. And then when you are creating meetings, really dig in and look at those options and put in as much information as possible. Also, there's like the debate of, do I make my meeting in Teams or do I make it in Outlook? Like, I feel like it is a hot topic. I personally like to make it inside of Teams because, as I said, I live there frequently. Also, we don't use Outlook for our work emails because we use that for training purposes. So we've got the other word of Google in there somewhere. So, but yeah. So I think be cognizant of what you're emailing. Could this be a chat or go into a channel where everyone needs to see it? Use the loop agenda. I'm going to continue to hit that one on the head. And also Copilot. If you haven't used it, if it's not turned on, like Neil said, you're living in the Stone Age. I mean, it's basically bedrock for you. But I think it's a really awesome tool and can be very time efficient.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, when I see folks on social media talking about Copilot, there's basically two main camps. There's the camp that says, well, this should be able to write really, really well and automate my life. And those people are going to be disappointed by Copilot. There's no two ways around it. But on the flip side, those people who actively use Copilot as their partner in staying on top of things, it is incredibly useful to say what happened during this meeting, what's been going on over the chat, what do these emails mean? Can you summarize the contents of this file for me? How is this thing different from this other thing? All of that stuff, that incidental in the moment, I don't know what I'm diving into right now stuff is so, so valuable. So give it a shot if you have the opportunity to. I think the other thing that I want to make as a main recommendation here, everybody, is I personally believe, so yesterday my wife tells me that they are officially off of Slack at her office. And they have just hundreds and hundreds of Slack threads. And it's a little daunting for them because they don't know what they have the availability to do. If you're in that type of situation, make sections in your chat space and put the channels and the chats that are critical to certain facets of your work into specific sections so that you can expand and collapse sets of 2 or 5 or 10 conversations that are related to this critical thing that you happen to be doing. You can absolutely, through the use of sections, chats, and channels, organize yourself into a system that really makes sense for you. Give it a shot. I'm honestly just giving my wife advice at this point. Honey, if you're listening, please give sections a shot. Awesome. All right. Well, I think that is it for today's episode. Denise, thank you so much for all your time today.
Yeah, it was a great conversation. And if you are listening to this on a Monday, I hope it makes your Monday a little less Monday. Is that a verb? I don't think that's a verb.
It could work. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day and talk to you again soon. Bye.